get a Gibson acoustic guitar, it is indeed a one-of-a-kind instrument.
We've mastered the artistic science of building guitars that sound and perform as good as you can make them. We're building vintage guitars that are new.
Gibson guitars are an iconic part of the music industry and the history of music. Gibson has been around for over 130 years, for decades and decades. We were in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and in that location we made everything. Eventually though, the company relocated to Nashville, Tennessee. The one thing that they really didn't think about when they relocated to Nashville was the humidity. Building acoustic guitars, Gibson acoustic guitars specifically, the way we build them, humidity and moisture control of the woods is paramount. In Nashville, it's so humid there. They had a hard time getting the wood to acclimate to where the guitars were all they could be. Here in Bozeman, Montana, of course it can get a little dry, but pumping in moisture and humidity is old school technology. When it's really hot and humid for months and months on end, like in Nashville, it's a little trickier to manage that and to stabilize that. So Bozeman was the perfect place to build Gibson acoustic guitars. The new ownership of Gibson is just taking it to the next level, investing in the people, in the properties, in the equipment, in just the spirit of the builders to make the guitars we're building today the best they've ever been.
Gibson has a legacy. You got generations behind the Gibson name, from Orville on up, that you must preserve. People rely on Gibson. There's people that buy nothing but Gibson guitars, and they expect a certain quality, a certain sound.
If you look at our history, we connected with artists from the late 1800s. Before there were artists, we were building instruments that were superior in performance than what people were using in the same categories. As the industry grew in 1900s, we were there with the artists at the beginning. I've been involved directly or indirectly with over 90 artist models. I use my acumen as an artist and as a guitar performer to understand what the artist really needs. You kind of gotta go to the artist's planet.
Whenever we do a signature model, I'm there from the inception. It's not usually my idea, I don't have the gall to go, hey, we should do a signature model. They'll go, hey, would you mind doing a signature model of this particular guitar that you're using? And so I just want to make sure that it has the integrity of the original and has the same hardware, and it has the same wood and a lot of the same features technically and also aesthetically, so that it looks right. I'm really very proud and honored to be part of the Gibson family. It's always been my favorite company, regardless of whether I was involved or not. Just one of the greatest brands in the guitar making business.
It's such a crucial part of my life, and it's such a crucial part of our sound. When I started playing guitar at like 9 years old, it was like, Gibson is the shit, man. When I got a Gibson, man, dude, I sat there, man, I played that thing, and I like had tears coming down my face. I dreamed of holding a Gibson, and I think I'm just so hooked on them because I wanted one for so long. What sets Gibson apart from everybody else is the family aspect of it. It feels like it's never a contract and more so a partnership on how can we do cooler stuff and how can we make your vision come to life and how can we support you as an artist. The guitars are so badass. Nobody touches Gibson on shapes, tones, feelings. We play Gibsons, that's it. Bailey Zimmerman plays Gibsons.
One of the huge reasons for the success of Gibson as a whole is the ability that our management team and ownership team has of putting the right people in the right place. You choose the right people that have the skill set, their ability to work with other people, the ability to keep things going, and not get stuck in a rut. You need to be able to sometimes think beyond our history, think beyond the iconic models, and look at what the future set of players is going to want.
I've been with Gibson now for 14 years. I first started out in preset doing wet sand, worked my way through top buff, neck cleaning, most of that department. Went into final buffing, then became a part of final assembly. So I've got a pretty thorough background in playability and setup techniques and being able to do that efficiently as possible. Cross-training is a huge focus of this company, right? Because, I mean, we have many qualified people, but people take vacations, people get sick. We need to be mobile and adaptable to that, to still maintain our targets to deliver to our customers like Sweetwater.
I started in 1989. I basically walked through the door as they were replacing the last piece of machinery in what was then the new plant. Ren Ferguson was in need of a person in his custom shop that had artistic talent. We were always engraving our fretboards, headstocks, pit guards and whatnot for the Doves in Flight and the Montana Golds and, you know, the Monarchs and so on and so forth. And they had 3 or 4 people engraving at that time, and they're falling behind. I've done engraving with Ren Ferguson before, so I was approached. So, can you help these guys out? They're falling behind and we gotta get this done. I said, sure, but we're going to do it my way. My way is using a specialized tool. It's a rotary tool, very high RPM, pneumatic, with a diamond bit. That's used for engraving. Within a week, I was the only engraver left. And because of my talents and working with Ren, who originally designed these inlays and engraving patterns, I was able to implement his designs as well as my artistic vision and created my own design, kind of boosting up the wow factor of the engraving, and I've been doing it ever since.
I've been working here for about 24 years. Been doing everything in the color department, from filling, prepping, all the way through painting and staining. Probably over the last 18, 19 years, I've been pretty much stuck in the color booth, just painting anything and everything we need for finish. The Autumn Burst was mine. The Wildfire is something I created and did maybe 8-9 years ago. We got a new building a couple years ago. That's all brand new stuff back there. Our capabilities are a lot more. We used to have to shoot, in pods of 3. We're working lines of 7 now. Just more efficient. It's better, safer for the guitars. We're not handling as much. They're not getting set in racks. The boost system itself is a heck of a lot better. It's cooler, better controlled. All of our gear, pressure, everything like that is a lot better. We're no longer spraying gallon at a time. We're now plugged into 55 gallons, so it's a lot less time maintaining your workspace and your booth and just spending more time on painting guitars.
I came to Bozeman because of a master class that was here at the time. So when I got a call from Gibson, it was a surprise, with the exception of the fact that almost everything I used was a Gibson product. It was a natural love of mine, so that made sense. But when I asked, what do you need me to do? We got this factory going and we're building Gibson Acoustics all over again. And the one thing we do not have is someone that understands the product and someone that's a true artist as a person. It's so funny that Gibson called me and I'm in Bozeman. So why don't I try it? That was 36 years ago. I got to watch this acoustic product sprout up like a plant from the beginning.
Building Gibson acoustic guitars is a unique and special process. We're not the only ones that do the things that we do, but we're the only major manufacturer that still sticks to our guns on every guitar we make in a historic manner. All of our woods are selected, they're dried to the proper moisture content, humidity content. Tops and backs are joined, top shapes are cut out, the rosette is added at that point. Next thing that happens is it gets the bracing. Now the bracing patterns are all, of course, historic Gibson patterns. We trial and errored for 130 years. All of our tops and backs, they're not flat. They have a parabolic curve to them. 28-foot radius top, 12-foot radius back with only a couple exceptions on some of the historic models. Adds a ton of complexity to the build because you have to accommodate that radius top and that angle where the top hits the sides. So sanding is very specific. To get that to match up, every piece of wood is hand sanded to final thickness. Every piece of wood is hand joined. We don't use machines, robotics to do any of that type of thing. The binding, that's all hand put in. The body also at that point has the female side of the dovetail neck joint. That's a really cool process that we do on every instrument. If you go back down the neckline, start off with neck blanks. We use one-piece mahogany necks, which is historically accurate for hummingbirds, J45s, LOOs. or multi-piece maple necks for J200s, Doves in Flights, Monarchs. One's not better, one's not worse, they're just historically what we've always done. They'll cut the truss rod slot, set the truss rod in the neck, of course, so it can be adjusted for string tension down the line. Next, the fingerboards. Of course, all of our fingerboards, we use basically rosewood, ebony, or walnut for our fingerboard. Cut the cavity, set the inlay in, of course, sand it down. All of our fingerboards have a radius as well. After that's done, the fingerboards go back into CNC again, and they get the slots cut for the fret wire. Every piece of fret wire is hand set. Some of the fingerboards do get binding, just depends on, again, what the specs call for. Some do not. Once the fingerboards are done, now your necks are done. Now they get glued together. They have specific indexing points that they use to make sure that the placement is exactly right. They'll glue the fingerboards to the necks, let them dry, and then comes the interesting thing that we do. We hand sand every neck to final shape. I mean, when someone finds that J45, that Hummingbird, that J200 that they love, that's the only guitar exactly like that in the whole world. The necks have, on the bottom of the neck, down by the heel, the dovetail neck joint, male side. We take the dovetail neck joint and we attach it to the body using hot hide glue. It transfers vibration better than any modern glue. Something that we are willing to do the extra work, extra effort, pay for the extra labor to get it done, because it's the only way you get that Gibson sound. We're ready to go into the spray booth, and these guys just nail it every time. It's fun to bring them custom projects, to bring them things that maybe colors they haven't used before, or different styles of bursts that they haven't done before, and just watch them just nail it. After the guitars are sprayed, they go into an area called scrape, which to me is just fascinating. When you look at a row of Gibsons, be it on a wall in a store, in a catalog, every white line you see on the body has been hand cut back in. Tools they use are like X-Acto knives, and the main tool of choice is a microscope slide. It works really well for this. And they just get their fingers spaced right, and they just cut, and it's just so perfect, so clean. I mean, it looks like there's no way it could be hand done. Now it comes time for the lacquer. The only way you can make a guitar become a vintage guitar is to build it in a way that it can grow, mature, and get better and better with time. We utilize nitrocellulose lacquer, a plant-based lacquer, on every Gibson guitar. Our nitro lacquer, it's like 5 days just for the clear coat. Let it sit, buff it, sand it a little bit, give it the last coats, and then it has to sit and dry, because if you try buffing it too soon, it's so active it won't stay flat. But the thing about the nitro lacquer is, for years, for decades, it's maturing. Releasing solvents, getting absorbed into the wood. As that happens, the lacquer's getting thinner and thinner and thinner, allowing that guitar to breathe, allowing that wood to move, allowing that wood to vibrate. There's a reason those old guitars are so valuable. It's not just because they're old, the vintage stuff, it's because they were built in a way that they could mature and get better. So the guitars are now lacquered, colored, ready to move forward. First thing they do is they'll go and they will sand down the tops, backs, and sides of the whole guitar, sand down the lacquer so it can be buffed. They'll buff the tops of the guitar so that way they can apply the bridge. The bridge is not sitting on top of the lacquer. You can't glue wood to nitro lacquers. So what they have to do is they have to use jigs to make sure it's in the exact right spot, select the right bridge for that specific model. They have these tools that they go to pin the bridge, put it in the right place, pin it to the top where it's going to be. Then they take an X-Acto knife and they score around the exact footprint of the bridge. Remove it, put a little heat on the lacquer to soften up, and they actually peel the lacquer up under the footprint of that bridge. Even though it looks like that lacquer just continues right underneath, it stops right at that edge. Bridge is applied, clamped on, glued up. While that's being done, the guitars, we try to keep the guitars moving at all times. They'll be cleaning the fingerboards and scraping excess paint and overspraying stuff off the fingerboards and necks. Clamps are removed, inspected, make sure everything's good. Then it goes into the plec machine. The plec machine makes it perfection. It just takes it to a level that human hands cannot do. After the guitars are plecked, they go into the buffing room. Very physical work. Big buffing wheels moving really fast, really hard, and these guys are in there all day, making them as beautiful as they can. After they're buffed, they move into what we call final assembly. There, the guitars get the tuners, they get the labels, they get the saddles created to the right height so the action is correct. They get strung up. Now the people that work in final assembly, they all play, and then they have to. They have to be able to play to test the guitars, make sure they're what they should be. After they get it strung up, they'll check, this is the first time that neck has seen real string tension, so they'll adjust the truss rod if needed. We have very strict parameters on how far the strings are off the fingerboard, off the frets. Too high, of course, difficult to play. Too low, you're gonna get string vibration and buzz. Once that happens, the setup tech will play through every string on every fret. He'll plug in the guitar. Pretty much all of our guitars, with the exception of some of our high-end customs and some of our historic guitars, have electronics in them. We think that our guitars respond really well to the pickups that we use, and so that's tested out there as well, just to make sure that they're balanced and everything sounds right. When they're done, it goes to our final inspector, and they do the exact same thing all over again. At that point in time, if they sign off on it, they'll put the pick guard on it, they'll put it in a case, put it in a box, and it ships to our wonderful partners such as Sweetwater all over the world every day. We've done a lot of fun projects with Sweetwater. We have created some incredible instruments, utilizing exotic woods, utilizing colors that we normally do not use. The guitars are just dynamic, they're different.
Part of the reason why we're here today in Bozeman is to collaborate on a lot of the special projects that we do together. With a brand like Gibson Acoustic, they have obviously a very long history and legacy. A lot of times we are looking back through the history books, what are some things that they've done throughout the years, maybe from their beginning, maybe from the 50s or 60s, taking little nuggets of inspiration. Then we take those to our partners here at Gibson Acoustic, and we kind of go back and forth and figure out, we can still do this, maybe we can't do this, or maybe what if it would be really cool if we did this instead. So we kind of get these little seeds of ideas, whether it's from history or out in the world, and it'll end up with a really great high-end acoustic guitar that you can only get at Sweetwater.
One of the biggest benefits we have from bringing sales engineers to visit our vendors is they're getting firsthand information about how the instruments are made, all the special things that go into it that make them unique over everything else. To be on the front end of new product or new development of things, new technology, doing these kind of trips where we can come visit and talk to our vendor partners goes a long way for them to have an insight on that.
Being able to come out here and see it firsthand, really see the amount of work that people put into the guitars, really helps you appreciate things a lot more and see the value.
With Gibson, what's really cool is how many human hands touch the guitar from start to finish. When we live in this world where everything is like super perfect, seeing how many people actually take it from being raw material to this finished beautiful thing, it's pretty inspiring. No matter what numbers they're doing, it feels like a small batch sort of thing.
When you're talking about this qualitative level of craftsmanship, it goes a long way to be able to physically see it in action and experience it, so that way you can share it with others.
Their core values still go back to when they started making these acoustics in the 1920s. You would think with today, everything would be just a little bit more automated, a little bit more CNC machine, and there's still people putting tape on guitars and sanding stuff with their hands, and not just rotary sanders and stuff, with their actual hands feeling the wood on their palm as they do it to make sure everything is perfect.
You could just tell that people are happy and that they love what they're doing. That shows in the development of the guitar from beginning to end, that everybody that's involved in this is just excited.
Gibson's North Star in the long run is just to continue to get better. Guitars 5 years from now, as good as our guitars are today, will need to be better, because the competition's guitars are getting better every day. You have to listen to our customers, listen to our retailers, and just follow their lead. I just can't wait to see what the guitars look like 10 years from now.
I think our focus now and forever will be on the quality we put forth to our customers. Whether it be direct to consumers or dealers, quality is basically our first leg to stand on.
We want to fulfill the desires of our fan base, which is gigantic. We're building acoustic guitars from our history that sound better than the originals, and in many cases, because we've studied the way to do that. It is the golden age of acoustic guitar building because of all the technology and learning of all these decades, this 100+ years. We're able to put that into our old models and building them as good as the old days, sounding as good as if they sat there and aged and seasoned over all this time to be a vintage guitar. We're building vintage guitars that are new, that actually are knocking the socks off of people that are connoisseurs.
We gotta make sure that we don't forget our roots, because that's probably the biggest thing about Gibson is our roots. The people that came before us building these instruments, the people that came before us that play our instruments, that showed the world what a Gibson sounds like. You're not buying a guitar, you're buying an investment, you're buying a legacy.